We analyze social media reports and footages which can be unverified. At times, we analyze those unverified social media footages and reports purely from educational and documentary point of view, strongly following YouTube community guidelines. Let's begin with the news that Spain says new red lines have been crossed after UN peacekeeper killed in Lebanon by Israeli strikes. Spain says that new red lines have been crossed after a UN peacekeeper killed in Lebanon by Israeli strikes. Trump says he'll make a deal with Iran. And negotiations are going on between Iran and US. Pakistan is mediating these alongside Turkey and Egypt. The ceasefire talks and the negotiations going on. Let's see how do these negotiations turn out. The B-2 bombers have hit Iran and taken out on the power supply, resulting in darkness and a power outage in Iran. This is the moment an oil refinery in Haifa was hit. Israeli authorities say that no significant impact was made, and they also say that they are containing a fire at an Haifa refinery which resulted from basically the debris of the intercepted missile. This is courtesy Al Jazeera News. Haifa's facility was hit by Iranian missiles and Hezbollah's drones. Israel says that no significant damage has been done to that oil facility. Let's discuss some visuals and let's discuss how much Iran's missiles and drones are left and how much Israel's missiles are left. We are discussing here that first we will discuss US and Israel spending, that how much have they already spent on this war and how much of their interceptors are left, because interceptors take years to build and they're costly as well. So we will be discussing that how much US has the stock and how much Israel has the stock of the interceptors. We'll give you details on that. So to begin with, that how much interceptors Israel has and US has, then we will be discussing that how much missiles and drones Iran is left with, because this war is now being calculated that if Iran runs out of missiles and drones, Israel and US will be having an upper edge and they can extract maximum in the negotiations from Iran. But if US and Israel runs out of interceptor missiles, then Iran would be having an upper edge. So let's discuss the situation, that how much Iranian missiles are left and how much Iranian drones are left and how much US and Israel are spending and how much interceptors they are left with. To begin with the interceptors, the financial and logistical strain on the US and Israel has reached critical levels as the war entered in the second month. So, this is the financial spending I am now sharing with you. The United States has approximately spent $35 billion up till now in this war. United States has spent $35 billion up till now in this war. The daily burn rate initially was $2 billion and then it stabilized to $1 billion a day, and the total up till now $35 billion. Welcome back. There was a technical glitch. There was a technical error due to which the live streaming went off air. Apologies for that. There was a technical glitch due to which the live streaming went off air. Apologies for that. And the disclaimer first that we analyze the social media unverified footages and reports and provide analysis over them purely from education and documentary point of view, strongly following the YouTube community guidelines. And now let's move to what I was telling you about, that what I was telling you that the losses of US war were in monetary losses, that they have lost $35 billion up till now in this war, and mostly they have used the Tomahawk missiles and the infrastructure, the equipment damages, including the $1.1 billion early warning radar system, which was damaged and which received a hit in Qatar from Iranian drone. So these were the losses of US, and now let's discuss the losses of Israel. The losses of Israel are the Knesset recently approved a record $45 billion budget specifically to sustain the war, and they are estimated that $3 billion per week is this expenditure and economic loss of Israel. Now let's move to the interceptor missiles, the stockpile crisis, which is now coming. This is Israel's inventory, the Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 air defense system which Israel has. These are long-range interceptor missiles, and they are critically low. Reports suggest that, or reports of a think tank indicate that 81% of Israel's pre-war Arrow stocks have been depleted. The Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, these are long-range interceptor missiles, and they are critically low, and there is a report that indicates that 81% of Israel's pre-war Arrow stocks have depleted, and analysts warn that these could be completely exhausted by the first week of April if Iranian ballistic barrages continue at this current scale and rate. So the news is that Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 air defense system missiles are critically low. 81% pre-war Arrow stocks have been depleted, And if Iranian missiles continue with the current scale, then the remaining stocks of Arrow 2 and 3 would be completely exhausted. Now discussing the David Sling stocks. David Sling is a medium range interceptor missiles. Israel has been using David Sling to intercept ballistic missiles. This job is usually reserved for the arrows, but to save the remaining stock arrows, Israel has used David Sling air defense system. This has led to mixed results, including recent misses over Dimona, when the Iranian missiles managed to pass through and managed to make impact. Let me read some comments. I think Iran should call our friendly people of Iran if they should make a nuclear weapon, or they should open the Strait of Hormuz. Then act accordingly. I was talking about David Sling. This is a medium-range interceptor missiles, and when these incoming Iranian ballistic missiles are usually intercepted by Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, but now they are being intercepted by David Sling as well, because to save the remaining arrow stock, which are already critically low. So this has led to mixed result, and this has led to mixed result, including the misses over Dimona, which caused the impacts in Israel. Talking about Iron Dome short ranges air defense systems, missiles, interceptor missiles. And there is the constant influx of Hezbollah rockets and Iranian drones towards the IDF, and to intercept those Iron Dome short-range missiles are used, interceptor missiles, and the stock of short-range interceptor missile is high. So basically, only the Arrow 2, Arrow 3, which is long-range interceptor missiles, they are critically low, and David Sling is also being depleted, and there are mixed results, because David Sling is doing the job of Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 as well, because of Arrow low stocks. Now coming towards some more news, that US talking about US interceptor missiles, and they are THAAD, terminally high altitude area defenses. The US has fired approximately 40 THAAD interceptors, $12 million each. The cost of a single THAAD interceptor missile is $12 million, with only 25 to 37 units slated for production in 2026. The current burn rate is unsustainable. The Navy has fired over 180 interceptors, SM-2, 3, and 6, from ships in Red Sea. The US has used over 319 Tomahawks, nearly emptying the immediate magazines of ships currently stationed in the region. So the bottleneck is that it takes 2 to 3 years to manufacture a single Arrow or THAAD interceptor. It takes 2 to 3 years to manufacture a single Arrow or THAAD interceptor. Most of you people don't know that it takes 2 to 3 years to manufacture a single Arrow or THAAD interceptor. Israel and the US are currently firing them at the rate of 10 to 15 times faster than they can be replaced. So this was the overview of how much interceptors missiles and how are left with the US and Israel. Israel is running low on interceptors of long range that include of Arrow 2 and Arrow 3. And on the other hand, these long-range interceptor missiles are critically low in the stockpiles, and also they are costly. THAAD interceptor missiles cause one missile costs up to 10 to 12 billion million dollars. So now discuss Iranian missiles and how much Iran has left with missiles. Intelligence reports suggest that Iran was once a vast arsenal, has been significantly degraded by a month of intensive strikes by US and Israel. And ballistic missiles, Iran had 2,500 to 3,000 medium range ballistic missiles and a larger stock of short range missiles. But now the status is 33% of the missiles have been destroyed and damaged. So remaining approximately are 1,000 medium range missiles are left. Iran has 1,000 medium range missiles left with it. Many of these missiles are stored in missile cities. While the missiles survive, the US and Israel have successfully targeted the launchers and exit tunnels, making it difficult for Iran to fire missiles. Daily launch rates have dropped up to 90% since the first week of the war. So basically, this says that Iran had 25 to 3,000 medium range ballistic missiles, and now Iran is left with 100 because Israel and US have these missiles are stored in underground missile cities where they survive, but US and Israel have successfully targeted the launchers and exit tunnels, making it difficult for Iran to fire missiles, barrage of missiles. Now let's discussing how much Iran has drones left. Drones have become Iran's primary tool because they are easy to hide and cheaper to produce. 66% of Iran production facilities have been hit. Drone facilities have been hit. Iran has 1,500 to 2,500 Shahed series drone left with it. And despite the factory hits, Iran has decentralized its drone assembly. Iran is now using mobile workshops, trucks, and small warehouses to assemble drones from pre-existing parts. This allows them to continue launching swarms of 20 to 50 drones at a time to soak up expensive US and Israeli interceptors. So basically, Iran had 2,500 to 3,000 ballistic missiles, and Iran has now left with 800 to 1,000 missiles because US and Israel have most of the missiles have been used up, and US and Israel have also targeted the launching sites of the missiles as well. And with the drones, Iran had used 66% of the drones, or they are damaged, and Iran has but now decentralized the assembly of the drone, and meaning thereby using trucks and small warehouses to assemble drone from pre-existing parts, and Iran can now launch 20 to 50 drones at a time to soak up expensive US and Israeli interceptors. To soak up US Israeli interceptors, because when the drones are launched, US launches defense systems, missiles, and also Israel. It results in soaking up their expensive US and Israeli interceptors. Pentagon says that Iranian regime ability to build new missiles has been removed, and Iran is also thinking to secure emergency shipments of KN-23 ballistic missiles from North Korea via sea routes that bypass the Strait of Hormuz, though US Navy is currently blockading most major Iranian ports. So basically now Iran is thinking of taking shipments of securing shipments of missiles from North Korea as well. The question is, how is the missile stockpile with Houthis? Will they ship to Iran? Shipping to Iran is difficult. They have a good stockpile up till now, and they are using their drones and missiles against Israel and US bases as well. But shipping to Iran is difficult, kind of, because how can they ship? They would be shipping by sea, but US has blockade and the major ports, naval ports of Iran, and they can't send by via air. That too would be is impossible, and by land routes that would be bombed, and that would also take large time, more time. So that is difficult transferring to Iran. Now let's move to the production, and the strategy appears here to be rationing its remaining high-end missiles for final day to hit Tel Aviv and US bases. Iran is basically saving its missiles for final day to hit US bases in the Gulf and Tel Aviv. And now let's discuss, after discussing whether how much missiles and is left with Iran, and how much is left with interceptor missiles are left with Israel. Before that, now we will discuss the topic of is ground invasion of Iran possible or not, and what will be the consequences, and what would be the effects of the ground invasion. We will be discussing that, and before that I would request to subscribe the channel and like the video as well, and do take part in the poll as well, that should Iran make nukes. Up till now 100 votes have been casted. 46% of the people say yes, Iran should make nukes, and 54% of the people think that no, Iran shouldn't be making nukes. Now let's discuss the ground invasion. Firstly, discussing that whether the ground invasion is possible, the ground invasion by US. Let's discuss the ground invasion of Iran by US. The ground invasion of Iran by US is difficult because of multiple reasons, and the reasons, let's start these reasons one by one, and we'll be telling you the reasons. Before that, let me answer the question that there are rumors that Iran received S-400 from Russia. Is this true? Let me answer this question of yours, that there are rumors regarding the delivery of S-400. So the situation is regarding the S-400 is that in Iran is a mix of confirmed, basically strategic deployments and ongoing denied requests. The status here is basically reports from July 2025 indicated that Iran did receive and deploy at least one division of Russian S-400 defense system. Reports from July 2025 suggested that Iran did receive S-400. The system which Iran got was deployed near Isfahan to protect sensitive nuclear and military facilities. There were reports in mid 2025 that this specific battery was used in an exercise. Votes have been casted. Should Iran make nukes? And 49% people say yes, and 51% of the people say no. The answer to whether the US ground invasion is possible or not, or whether the US will make it or not, a full scale occupation like Iran and Afghanistan style is considered militarily impossible, because with current force levels, but a limited ground operation is possible. And the current indicator suggests that the arrival of the US Tripoli with 2,500 Marines and elements of 82nd Airborne Division in the region suggest preparations for rapid entry missions rather than long term holding. So basically, the point is that full scale invasion not on the cards, but yes, limited invasion is possible. And reports suggest the movement of USS Tripoli and 2,500 Marines and elements of the 82nd Airborne Division suggest that preparations for rapid entry missions rather than long term holding. The scenarios are that what US can do is US can basically what they can do is they can seize the coastal areas, capturing strategic islands near the Strait of Hormuz to forcibly open the shipping lanes. They can capture the coastal areas of Iran, forcing Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. And the special ops raids can take place in and out missions to destroy specific underground missile sites or nuclear labs. This is also another scenario. And the scenario third is that US can establish small security pockets in western Iran to protect oil infrastructures. So these are likely scenarios what US can do, and hardship and consequences which US would be facing are that Iranian speaker has already said that any boots on the ground will be targeted with overwhelming fires. This was what he said, that any boots on the ground by US or Israeli troops will be targeted with overwhelming fires, and meaning thereby that thousands of pre-targeted artillery, anti-tank missiles and swarm suicidal drones will be used to attack the US troops and Marines. And secondly, the geographic nightmare is that unlike the flat deserts of Iraq, Iran is a fortress of rugged mountains. US armor and supply line would be sitting ducks in narrow mountain passes. So the point is that this terrain is not easy for US, as Iran is a fortress of rugged mountains, and US armor and supply lines would be sitting ducks in narrow mountain passes. Iran's asymmetric response. Iran has threatened that ground invasion would trigger the seizure of the UAE and Bahrain coastlines and the activation of global sleeper cells as well. This is a big threat and a daring response from Iran. Iran said that any ground invasion by US would, if happens, Iran has threatened that in such a case, Iran would be launching ground invasion of UAE and Bahrain's coastal lines, and Iran would be activating the global sleeper cells as well. The casualties, if we talk about, analysts warn that even a limited raid could result in hundreds of US casualties in the first 48 hours due to Iran's dense layered coastal defenses. Due to dense coastal defenses, hundreds of US casualties would be reported, would happen in the first 48 hours. So these are the hardships and consequences which US would be facing. Now moving towards that, can the ground invasion be sustainable or not? Military experts, including retired Navy Captain Lance Gordon, say that ground presence is unsustainable for several reasons. The economic reason is that US defense budget already eclipsing $1 trillion in 2026. A land war would create a supply shock that could outstrip the 1970s oil crisis. Another reason is that public support for another Middle Eastern land war is at an all-time low. Images of the flag-draped coffins returning from Iran would likely trigger massive domestic unrest in the US. History shows that limited raids often turn into accidental occupations. Without a pre-planned government to take over, and with the Iranian public unlikely to accept a US-imposed administration, US troops would be stuck in a 4-hour war against highly motivated local insurgency. So these are the basically reasons. And these are the basically reasons because of which this ground invasion looks like a difficult job for US troops. Let me read your comments. There is Ali Hamas, peace be upon him. You all, O Lord, grant me sustenance, or send someone to help me with my financial situation. O Lord, grant me $2.5 million. Ask, when you're asking Allah, ask for a great amount. Why are you limiting it to $500,000? And there are things other than the money which are precious. That includes Iman as well, and Hidayah as well, and your physical fitness as well, the family as well, Khair and Barakat as well. Now, should Iran make nukes? Let me summarize latest news on this Iran war. The latest news are Israel has struck 2 Iranian nuclear facilities and also struck steel and aluminum plants. US has destroyed 17 Iranian warships, including a submarine. Iran's parliament speaker said that US is secretly plotting a ground invasion despite ongoing diplomatic talks. The diplomatic talks are being mediated by Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt. US confirms that they have lost 13 service members since the war began and 300 wounded. The Houthis have jumped into the war and they said that they are thinking of closing the Strait of Hormuz. With the new leadership of Mujtaba Khamenei, there are growing calls with Tehran to withdraw from non-proliferation treaty and develop a nuclear deterrent. There are growing calls within Tehran to withdraw from the to withdraw from the non-proliferation treaty and develop a nuclear deterrent. So, President Trump has delayed strikes on Iran's energy infrastructure until April 6, citing that back-channel negotiations are still going well. And so he said that if those fail, then Kharg Island and other islands and energy and oil facilities of Iran would be struck. There are also reports that there are tensions between indicate friction Prime Minister Netanyahu and Mossad leadership over the failure to spark a regime collapse following initial decapitation strikes. So these were some of the summary which I shared with you. US has lost since the beginning of the war 3 F-15s, 1 KC-135 Stratotanker, 4 under 5 were damaged, which are under repair, and $1.1 early warning radar system, $1 billion worth. Iran has also lost 50 aircraft, including F-14s and Sukhoi 24s. Their 190 ballistic missile launcher sites have been targeted, with 140 vessels targeted. So this is also 170 children were martyred when on the first day of the war the school was bombed by Israel and US, and that was a sad, tragic, heart-wrenching incident in which 170 children were martyred. Children and civilians and elderly people shouldn't be targeted in the war. Even war should have some rules. Schools and hospitals shouldn't be targeted. This incident is highly condemnable. And let's read some of the comments. Now 227 votes we have. Should Iran make nukes? 50% of people think yes and 50% of people think no. So it's a tie. Now moving towards some more comments. Please do subscribe the channel and like the video as well. Do subscribe the channel and like the video as well, and share your thoughts in the comments. If you have any question, you can ask, and if you don't have any question, then it's time for us to take a break and to wrap up this transmission, and then we'll return once we have some more news. Please take care of yourselves, and now we'll return once we have some more news. Take care of yourselves and do subscribe the channel and